Hi, Ola. Cool. Let's get going. Just to let you know, every now and then we do something called On the Shoulders of Giants, where we interview one of our clients and they're going to share their journey to date. Uh, James and I were talking, I don't know, 3 4 weeks ago, and he was sharing some stuff with me, and which I thought would be interesting to share with everybody else here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask James a series of questions, but I want you to know that if you've got any questions to ask James as we go along, just put it in the chat box. Yeah, this isn't just Drew and I interviewing James. This is for everybody. So let's get started. So James, first of all, thank you ever so much for offering to do this. It's really appreciated. Before we get into it, James, can you just give us an overview of who you are, tell us a bit about your business and that type of thing, please, buddy?
Yeah, certainly. So happy Yorkshire Day, first of all.
Oh, of
Gotta
course,
get
yeah.
that.
Just explain to
Who
non-Yorkshire
I?
folk. Yeah.
So Yorkshire's the biggest and best county in England.
God's own country, I reckon.
Big tiger.
No, so it's the 1st of August for whatever reason is the Yorkshire Day. So it's where we all put our flat caps on, which I've had to take off for this call, and it gave a topic for something to post on LinkedIn today anyway. So yeah,
That's a good post, by the way. I saw that. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, so happy Yorkshire Day to you.
Thank you. So yes, so you want to know about the bit of background about the business and where we are and what incentivizes. Okay, so we started in 2012, so this year will be our 13th year in business. I previously had a business partner who we worked great together, still really good friends, one of my best friends in the entire world. But in 2019, he broke the news to me that he was moving to a different part of the UK.
Was he living in Yorkshire?
He used to live in Yorkshire. He moved to Devon. Apparently, Devon was more appealing than Yorkshire. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he moved down there. And being in 2019, things like Zoom and Teams weren't at the forefront of what we were doing anyway. I know they were around, but we weren't using them extensively. So it seemed at that point that the options were that I bought him out, or that we downsized the business, which would result in redundancies for staff members at the time, and just work, solo from our respective offices, home working. I was quite young still at the time, and I didn't really want to get on great with the team. We had some really good team members, and I didn't really want to do the downsizing exercise. So I agreed to buy him out. So we sort of finalised everything, all amicable and everything, and the paperwork was signed and the money's paid across on the 27th of February 2020. 3 weeks later, we were in COVID-19 pandemic, and it's been a struggle since then. Not only was he obviously co-director of the business, he was a really, really strong salesperson, still is, I assume, and he brought a lot to the business, which naively I probably thought that I could pick up the mantle and run with it solo and perhaps improve the business. We both had strengths and weaknesses, of course, and we unfortunately, the timing of it just meant that not long after buying the business and paying a lot of money for his shares, I found myself in a pandemic where a lot of our clients obviously stopped working, and obviously there was government support at the time, but it was a pretty worrying time and a worrying start to sole ownership of ATS. So as a business, we have historically concentrated on the construction and engineering sector, and typically the roles that we would work on would be anything from kind of entry level, which over here might be salaries around 25,000, to sort of mid to senior management level up to around 75,000-80,000 pound roles. We were and have always been really accommodating of clients' needs. We've always gone above and beyond, I feel, to sort of please them. And a couple of things happened in 2023 where clients who I'd worked with for 10, 11 years since the inception of the business just decided for whatever reason, one of them got an internal recruiter on my recommendation. She dropped us like a stone, and another one, I didn't sort of how their interviewing technique didn't sort of align with our company values and what we stand for. And again, they kind of just stopped working with us. And these are companies who, you know, we'd done such preferential rates for, all on contingency, and it kind of made me realize that, you know, we as a business needed to change. We actually got off to a really good start in 2023. We're a small team.
Sorry, James, just
Yeah.
to cut in. When was it that you actually joined the Apex program? How long have you been a member now?
I joined in March of this year.
March of this year. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so you know, I want to take you back to, you know, March this year or February. Let's say February. I guess what specifically was going on in your business that, you know, I assume that you've been aware of this for a while, or was it a case of that you just were you aware of this for a while, or was it just
I was
March?
aware of you and Terry had reached
Yeah.
out to me over the course of quite a few. I think the first email, I looked back through my LinkedIn, and the first one was in 2019, maybe, or something like that.
Well,
It was a number of years ago, and I'd probably had a little bit of back and forth with Terry, and he well, I know now why he did it, but he was, you know, really sort of trying to build a relationship with me, and, you know, for whatever reason, the timing just never seemed quite right, or perhaps I just didn't want to engage. I maybe thought I had all the answers, but we had a quite a strong start to 2023, and around this time last year, we had a terrible August, a really terrible August, and that sort of coincided with a number of consecutive loss-making months. I think we had one good month towards maybe November of last year, and then going into December, which historically has always been the worst month for us doing permanent recruitment and contingency recruitment. We had a terrible December, followed up with a terrible January and February. And Terry asked me the other day, what was it that attracted you to the Apex School? And he sent me something called, asked me if I wanted to join a seminar called How to Dominate Your Market Sector and Become #1 recruitment or search firm in your sector. And I don't know if it was you or Terry who sent that, but I just like, something's got to change. Something has got to change. I mean, in that really bad period from December to February, we had a lot of work was going in. The guys in the team, who some of whom are on the call today, were working as hard as ever. They were putting great CVs across the clients. They were, you know, obviously they were knowledgeable and understanding of the sector. And if you ever get a chance to look at our Google reviews from that side of it, certainly from the candidate piece, you know, we're a great agency. We've got 5-star Google reviews and everything, but something wasn't translating into sales. And so that particular email obviously piqued my interest, and here we are today.
Awesome. So,
Excellent.
sorry, Terry, you go.
Go on, Drew. Go on. Yeah, just a lesson for everybody else that James said there. He got the first email from me in 2019. He didn't join us though until 2024. And there's a massive lesson there about nurturing the relationships. And so often recruiters say to me, "Oh, I sent out 1,000 emails, I didn't get any response," as if that's it. You've got to nurture the relationship. We say this all the time. It's like dating. You can't go out on the first date and say, "Let's get married." It doesn't work like that. You've got to nurture the relationship. Laura, you're laughing there. In fact, did you get married? Did you get married on the first date, or you're sort of laughing there knowingly?
No, I'm not married yet, so I obviously not.
Okay. Fair enough. But seriously, yeah, you get the point. Yeah. 4 years. I think Mike Merrick said it was 7 years. 7 years of email. And Mike jokes about it. He said eventually we just wore him down. And that's what you've got to be doing with your clients. Just wear them down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Drew, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, so we sent that email. Did you actually attend the webinar, or was it just a case of that you registered, but then we called you? Or I guess, how did you get onto a call with? Well, I assume it was Terry sold to you, or yeah, how did you get like to speak to us?
So I attended it, and I looked at the some of the videos on the website, I think, and a lot of them kind of resonated with, you know, where we were, along the lines of, you know, you put in so much work in, but not being respected by your clients, not is your hard work not paying off. are you contingency recruiter? So you're only getting paid 10% of the time because you only fill 10% of your roles, and so on and so forth. And I had a call with Terry, and again, I understood that something had to change. I'm fortunate that I have got another business interest, but outside of recruitment. But recruitment has been, the sole sort of source of income for our household, my wife and children. For probably, my wife works in our business, but probably for the best part of 15 to 17 years or something. And it's kind of all I know. I've done other things, obviously, in my earlier life, but it's all that, it's a major part of my life. But somewhere along the way, we weren't being successful, and obviously, spoke with Terry, and the first thing that he asked me to do was to write down my why, which I guess everybody on the call, Terry or Drew, have probably asked the same thing to do, and to write a letter to my future self a year from the date that was. And I sort of put everything into that, and I realized that we are, without sounding, I'm quite good at what I do, and I want to sound modest here, but like, we've got a good team, and but we weren't getting the results, and I wasn't, it sort of came across, not only were we not doing well at work, but that, meant that I was a bit of a low ebb mentally, like my mental health probably suffered. I got out of the routine of exercising regularly, probably drank too much. This is just being honest, and I was in a pretty negative cycle, and it came at a really, really sort of good time. And obviously, when I didn't really have the money, to be honest with you, to sign up to the to sign up, but again, I just knew that something had to change, so I found the money, and we we obviously joined the course, and then things have started to change.
So just to sorry,
Go on,
Jerry,
go
just to
on.
dig a bit deeper on, you said that so this time about August last year, you had a bad month, and then it sort of led up to a bad Christmas, and then in the new year. When you say things weren't going well, I guess how was that presenting itself? What was going on in the business? Were you winning job orders but not filling them? Were you not winning job orders? I guess what was sort of if you could summarize it into sort of 2 or 3 main challenges.
Yeah, so I think we weren't being
Okay.
respected by clients. So we, as a contingency recruiter, we were just there, and companies were telling us they needed dozens of engineers or a handful of engineers, and we were sending relevant and strong CVs across, and then, oh, actually, we're going to put it on hold for a few months. That kind of thing was happening. We'd got ourselves into a situation with a number of clients where our rates had gone down to sort of 10%, which, there's a huge difference between 10 and 15%, obviously, and 50% difference. And especially when you're working on some of the lower end roles, you're having to make 8, 9, 10 placements to just cover overheads when there's 6 of us in the business. A lot. I believed in the team, and the team have always worked hard and everything, but we were probably just not working smartly, not being smart with our time. And I just think it's a combination of things, and around the sort of new year, it all kind of came to a head. And in March, as I said, we signed up onto this course.
I was going to change the subject very quickly. I just said to Drew, keep asking the questions, Drew, and I'm going to interject with my words of wisdom. Drew's just come back and says, where are you going to get the words of wisdom from? Ha ha. Anyway, in terms of words of wisdom, lack of respect, and I really appreciate your honesty in sharing that. You're not the first person to go through that, where you're working with clients that don't respect you, and it's always interesting how that impacts in other areas of your life. And there's a reason why we encourage you not to just have a goals for the business, but other areas of your life. So that's really quite revealing, and you're not alone. I want you to know that many a business owner we speak to talk about business isn't going well. It's having impact on other areas of your life. And I don't believe you can have a fantastic and highly successful business and have a crap life in other areas, be it health, relationships, fitness, or whatever. So I really appreciate your honesty there. I'm curious from your point of view. You talk about lack of respect, and by the way, lack of respect often is the respect you get from your clients and candidates is it says more about your behavior than anything else, because it says more about your boundaries. Can you give some examples of where you're working with clients where clearly they didn't respect what you and your team were offering?
Yeah, I mean, the typical sort of, we're desperate for a business development manager, so it's kind of all hands to deck, you know, we or a drainage engineer, whatever kind of role it was, and we jump on it, of course. And you know, you think, well, if we fill this role, then this will be X amount of pounds on the sales sheet for February or whatever. And you know, just the standard ghosting from, not one thing that I'm not overly concerned when a client has a clear line of communication with you, and if they come back and say, listen, James, I'm really sorry, but the circumstances have changed. If they tell me that straight away, or that candidate's not right for us because of X, Y, and Z, that's absolutely fine. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But it's when they stop answering the calls, when they stop replying to emails, when, you know, my guys are chasing them politely, and we're always really polite with the tone of the emails and everything. And you know, that was happening a lot. You'd be on 10%, and they'll say, if I take 2 off you, will you do it at 7.5%? Oh, well, they, you know, monitor $2,000 each, and you're like, no. But probably because we were in that dire situation, we probably would have done it, to be honest, Terry. You know, like we were doing deals, and you know, one thing that we've always done is like offer a free replacement candidate or a sliding scale rebate. And you know, another thing, Terry, to mention is that they were sort of using the payment terms, 30-day payment terms, and pulling them out to 45, 60 days, and then telling me after 8 weeks, oh, so-and-so isn't working out for us, therefore can you issue a credit note? And I guess everybody on the call's probably been through something similar, but things like that. And you're thinking, hang on a second, in contingency recruitment, all the work is front-loaded. You've taken down the JD, you've done your advertising, you've obviously paid for all these platforms that you're advertising on. You've found a short list of candidates, you've vetted them all, you've sent, you know, numerous candidates across. You've obviously gone through the interview process with some candidates, you've taken feedback, you've held the hand through the process, and then eventually hopefully got an offer, and that offer has been, you might have had to do some work on the negotiation of the offer, and then eventually they might have a month's or 3 months notice, but you've got them to the stage where they've started, and then your client still decides to take 60 days to pay you, and then turn around and say after 8 weeks, actually, James, it's not for us, you know, and it's like you're getting nothing for that then, you know. So I'm just looking at Ola's message. Thank you, Ola. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah,
Here's a question, but just still go in the room. James said something that I think virtually every contingent recruiter has experienced. I'm just wondering if it's the same here, whereby you get a job order. So you talked about getting this business development, and then what you're doing is you're thinking, when we fill this role, we're going to have some money coming in, and you start fantasizing about the money coming in. Just very quick, just give me a yes in the box if you worked at contingent and you've gone through that experience where you get the job order and you're almost fantasizing about when I fill this role, and you know, and the money comes in. Just give me a yes or a yeah. Ever so common. And I always, when I hear and see it, I always think it's almost like saying, what I'm going to do the lottery, and when I win, I'm going to pay off all my bills and everything. And as an outsider looking in, you're going, it's probably never going to happen. The average recruiter doesn't fill most of the roles that they work on. Let me repeat that. The average contingent recruiter does not fill most of the roles that they work on. Most of the time when you do the lottery, you don't win. You see what's going on here. Really appreciate it, Joe. I want to just go around the room to a few people. I'd love to get a few people's thoughts, feedback. James Wilson, I'm going to come to you first of all. Then you, Sean. Love to get your thoughts and feedback on what JB shared with us so far.
Yeah, so you know, I think we've all been through that kind of thing before, where you know, clients have messed you around and you've done all the work, and like you say, I've had instances where, you know, even though you've done the work and you should be getting paid, weeks later they've person's left and they've gone, we're not paying you. And it's like, what do you do in that scenario? Like, do you completely, you know, because it costs money to go to court, doesn't it, ultimately? So, and they know that, especially when I recruit for solicitors, you know, they know that. So, you know, you back at square one, and do you ruin the relationship, or do you carry on? And you do end up going around in circles, and sometimes you even find out with clients that you thought were good clients, they end up being not so good clients in the long term and stuff. So yeah, a lot of what he's saying does resonate with me.
Yeah,
it does.
yeah. Before I come to you, Sean, I'd just love your thoughts, Drew, on your opinion on clients that do that kind of thing. It's not uncommon, by the way. We've heard so many stories. You're the one that really pisses you off when the client says to you, yeah, we agree a rate of, let's say, 20%. You do all the work. They make the offer to the candidate. And then the client says, oh, we can't afford 20% now. What does a recruiter do then? Does it say to the candidate, oh, sorry, we're not going to go ahead? And, you're left. But these sort of things do happen. In your opinion, Drew, what's going on there? What advice would you give to people who are experiencing that?
What's going on? I think obviously there's good clients and bad clients. I think every market has them, and you're gonna get bad clients. But I think really the question is, I think sometimes when you don't have the lead flow coming in or the business coming in, you feel like you have to still work with those clients. I think we see it in this program, like when people start building a marketing process out and they can bring clients in at will, that they just drop those clients like that. They stop dealing with them. But I think when you haven't got that lead flow in, you don't know where your next job order's coming from, or your next assignment's coming from, your next client's coming from. You feel like, well, if I don't work with this client, even though they haven't paid me, then I'm gonna have even nothing.
Good point. Yeah, thanks, Drew. Thank you, Sean. Love to get your thoughts, feedback, observations, buddy.
Hey, so I would say just the, kind of what I'm observing, James, and just through your journey, applauds to you for sticking to, Terry and Drew's messaging for 4 or 5 years and not, putting them on the block. So that's amazing. You know, testament to you, right? For seeing things through. But no, I mean, fortunately, I haven't experienced much of that, right? And again, I've only been you've got years of experience owning your own, James, whereas I've got 2.5. So I'm hoping that'll never be a circumstance that I'm put in where we agree to terms, and then due to finances or whatever type of market downturn, you can no longer pay me. I don't know what I'd do, right? Like I'd hope I'd drop the business, but again, if you need that cash flow and you need the business to coming in, maybe I'd be in that same position, right? So I think it's a testament to, okay, something's got to change. I need better. I'm way more valuable than what you're the terms that you're trying to get me to agree on, and you stuck to your guns. So I think that's a pat on your back for saying, okay, I don't care what other people are doing. This makes no sense for me. I got to go in a different direction.
Yeah,
So
thanks. On that, I guess you can get a little bit complacent as well, because I've been doing it for 13 years this time, and if you kept your head above water, and we've had good years, of course, and not so good years, but it's kind of that old adage of, well, it's what we've always done, but like it really hit home this last sort of 12 months. So what we've always done isn't working now, right? So it's and
Yeah.
obviously a lot of the techniques that I've learned through this program have it's kind of like you think I should have thought of that myself, but it's taken this program to point some really basic fundamental stuff out to me that obviously and the accountability factor as well. One of the things that I think Terry said really early on was like, you're responsible ultimately. You're responsible for everything that you do in life, right? So so I think that that really hit home, and it's it's been a really good and interesting 6 months. But I actually watched yours, Sean, your thing. Was it about 4 months ago? 3 or 4 months ago?
yeah.
And we took a lot on board, not just myself, but Laura, Haley, Amber, the team members within ATS, and we thought, wow, that's because you were talking a lot about some of the things that you do in terms of using tech and stuff like that, and it sort of really opened our eyes up, as it has done with other people who contribute on these calls. And you think that having the community side of it, and obviously you're in the States, we're in the UK, people in Europe, knowing what other people do, and just getting ideas from it, I think that's got great value in it in itself.
Yeah. So tell me, James, you've talked about where you are. So what would you say the difference is between the business and what you do now and what you were doing previously?
Right. So we started off with obviously working the way through the foundation course and did a lot of email reactivation. We reached out to a lot of dormant clients, so clients who perhaps we had worked with, who we weren't currently working with. So we did a lot of that. And what we're doing now is just more consistent BD, being more persistent with it. You know, as you mentioned, you were on at me for 4 or 5 years. So you know, following up, obviously using some of the scripts, but we use, I think I mentioned Dripify. We use Dripify for LinkedIn automation sequences. We're always trying to tailor them. On Tuesday, Don gave me some good advice about that. But I think the key thing would be consistency, and Mike Merrick talked about non-negotiables on a daily basis, and whether that's a 10 before 10 or 50 or 100 new invites sent out and however many messages. I think getting into the habits, and I will be honest with everybody on this call, you know, there have been times, I think in June, I did slack off a little bit, and ultimately had a call with the team, and I was like, I'll, you know, hold my hands up. You know, got out of the good habits, and it's like with anything, like if you're in an exercise habit or a diet habit or anything, you sometimes will inevitably drift away from it, even though you know going to the gym or running is good for you. You sometimes stop doing it for a while, don't you? Unless you're super on it all the time. But you know, I did sort of stop doing it, and then sure enough, the triage calls and the you know, and the new connections and everything dried up, and you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why that is, you know. And so if anything, it just further points to the fact that you have to be consistent with it, and you have to obviously have your non-negotiables and try and each and every day, you know, do something, you know, value your time, do, I think, what you call the revenue generating activities. So obviously, I've mentioned on these calls before, there's been times in the past where I've been under the desk, I've been vacuuming up in the office, I've been, you know, like doing loads of stuff, you know, which, yeah, it's important to have a nice clean office and to have an internet connection, a stable internet connection, everything. But ultimately, is it a good use of my time on a Tuesday afternoon? Probably not. So I'm trying to,
Yeah.
you know, but
James,
it's go on, sorry.
Sorry, just to break down like some of the changes that you made, right? So I wanted to sort of look at sort of 3 key areas, like 1, your marketing and business development, 2, your sales, and then 3, the delivery. So just in terms of the marketing, like the outreach you're doing, can you give us a picture of, I guess, yeah, what you were doing before, and then what you've changed since joining the program, and then I guess the impact it's had in terms of the attention you've been able to get in the marketplace?
So what I personally was doing before was congratulating a staff member once a year to say congratulations on your 3-year anniversary, great asset to the team on LinkedIn, and
Right.
like that's it. Like literally, maybe the odd post or job post or something like that. Laura was on this call. She was telling me, and you know, she'll like this bit because it's been recorded and she can play it back to to everybody. But it's yeah, I mean, she was saying you need to be more active on LinkedIn. You need because I don't have any other social media apart from LinkedIn, and I'm not really a fan of social media in the main, but ultimately it's like, just because I don't have Instagram or TikTok doesn't mean that I shouldn't use LinkedIn as a tool for developing my own business and creating a better life for myself and my children, right? So it's so I had to adjust my mentality with regards to that. So now try personally to get 3 or 4 posts on LinkedIn, and that's a mix of polls, personal posts, which I think a lot of the personal stuff gets a lot more engagement sometimes than it might not get like the right. It's generally people you know you've got a good relationship with who engage on personal stuff, but yeah, obviously those impressions then go to the wider network and stuff. So, and then obviously work related stuff as well. Never ever put a video on LinkedIn before we did this. Obviously I've done that. I would never have posted anything about the kids or anything that goes on in my personal life on LinkedIn previously, but increasingly it's getting more and more like that. And you know, people say it's not Facebook and everything, but as long as it's kind of topical and you know, it's not too like what you had for your breakfast, you know, whatever. It's I think we've had some really good things, and certainly on the first poll I did, I got 40 votes, On the poll. I just followed the script that you provided, Drew, and it obviously changed a few things. 40 votes, and 20 of those were people I'd never really engaged with before. So I immediately sent them the results of that poll back and said, thanks for voting on my poll. I noticed that you voted this. I think the actual poll was regarding genres of music and what people liked. It wasn't even related to recruitment or anything. It was like, do you like the 60s and 70s? Do you like the 80s, 90s, or 2000 onwards? And loads of people voted. And from that, unfortunately, we've not done business with this client, but got engaged with this lady at this large insurance loss adjusting company, and we ended up getting terms agreed. But it's one of those where it's like all CVs must go to recruitment at, and it's still a work in progress that. But on the back of that, I probably booked in like 3 triage calls, 1 set of terms agreed and signed, better rates than what we previously worked to. So that's the marketing.
So just again, just in terms of like results, right? Before on a monthly basis, how many like meetings were you having with hiring managers before during the program, and then where would it be at now on average month?
Like pre-COVID, when I'd try and get out once a month and see 3 companies in the same day, but obviously then everything went to Teams and Zoom. We weren't having hardly any, to be honest. We'd be doing maybe 1 a month, if that, probably 1 every 2 months.
Wow.
And yeah, it was bad. Like we were just so complacent because the business that which we thought was good, it wasn't. And once we got onto the program, I think I even dropped Terry an email, and I had like 5 triage calls in a week, and we pitched retained for the first time ever. And we didn't get retained, but we're approved supplier now of this new client. It's all good practice, and it's a really for my colleague Laura. This particular client are in a new geographical area, and they have offshore work, which offshore work generally translates to higher salaries, which typically would translate to higher fees. And so it sort of like opened up a whole new sector for us, and that was just on the back of being consistent with it. And I have to admit, I had to step out massively outside of my comfort zone in the beginning to like kind of just run something by you, and then they come back and like, yeah, sure, what? And it's like, well, and even to this day, I mentioned on Tuesday's call that some really big sort of PhD CEO of a massive company. I still feel a little bit like this guy's not going to want to speak to me, but I think, who cares really? And then, at the end of the day, I'm just doing my job and trying to improve the business.
So you mentioned. Sorry.
But yeah, I just had then you can. I'm just going to add. You said something then. You said it sort of throwaway mark. You had to come outside your comfort zone. For everybody, your success is outside your current comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, you're going to keep getting what you're getting now. Whatever you want, your goals are outside your comfort zone. And for all of you, you're stepping outside that comfort zone to get the results you want. I really appreciate you sharing that, Jane. Thank you. Back to you, Drew.
Yeah, so you mentioned that obviously you're getting more meetings with hiring managers now than you were before. But during those meetings, during those sales meetings, can you tell us a bit more about, I guess, the fee you were charging before compared to now? And yeah, you mentioned retain there, the terms you're asking for now compared to before.
Yeah, so I was trying to work it out. I think before we joined this in our industry sector, the average fee would probably be 12.5% of salary or something like that. We had some clients on 10, as I mentioned, and we had some like fixed fee stuff as well, to be honest. So now we're going on and we're pitching at 27. So it depends who it is really within the team, but we're trying to pitch as close to 20, and we're trying to get exclusive every time that we pitch, if not retained. What we think we've identified is that we need as a business to work on the higher level roles in order to get more retained work. We think that there's too many contingency recruiters that we're in competition with who can offer the sort of mid-level roles or candidates for the mid-level roles. So what I'm encouraging our team to do now is to say, hey, we're getting you good surveyors. We know what we're doing. We're a market leader in this. Can we look at your next ops director role? Can we look at your next commercial manager role? So going back to your question, we now would typically try for 20 or 17.5. And I would say that we've had loads of terms we've had exclusive terms, and we've had terms signed at 17.5 now. The ultimate goal would be to get to 20 or above in like the next 12 months. But we're not, obviously can't go from 12 to 25, right? So we're
Why not?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean,
It's outside your comfort zone. That's all.
Yeah, I guess we could. But
I mean, look, you mentioned obviously more meetings. You're asking for higher fees now, which is great. Either exclusive or retained. In terms of like revenue, I guess what's the impact of those two pieces been since March?
yeah, so the months leading up to joining, in comparison to where we are now, I think there's been something. It's over 50% in terms of the increase. I think it's actually over 60% in terms of increase. I mentioned earlier that August last year was a really bad sales month. It was on the back of some strong months, but it kind of was a bit of a catalyst for change. But this August, we've got our highest sales month of the year. Oh, yeah. So far, we've kind of gradually improved, and we're hoping for a really strong sort of August, September, October, November. Another area that we've actually I highlighted on my letter to my future self was that we used to do a lot of contract business, and it dropped off for various reasons, COVID being one of them. But that was always something that you had that cushion and the turnover as well, which reflects well with banks and so on. The turnover. I mean, I know what they say, turnovers.
Vanity.
Yeah, vanity, profit, sanity, right? So, but obviously, it's like even things like remortgaging and stuff. Like if the bank look and think, oh wow, the business has turned over £1.5 million or whatever, that for some strange reason appeals more than a company who's got really solid 300 grand turnover but loads and loads of profit in it. I don't know why. But anyway, so we wanted to grow the freelance side. We now, I think, I have 8 or 9 freelance workers, and that was since Diane. You remember Diane Prince joined and did that piece about how to grow your contract business. That sort of coincided with that. And both of the clients that we have contract business with now are from business development activity that we've done since joining the program.
Awesome.
Well done. And just on that, one of the benefits of contract entry, call it whatever you like, it's that recurring income. And when you open up your business on the 1st of each month, as today, the 1st of August, you've got that income coming in. And a lot of perm recruiters don't get contract business. And there's a really simple reason why. You don't ask for it. And there's no harm whatsoever in simply asking about contract business. So again, it's something that for everybody, I'd say that it's worth getting contract business, added to which, if you want to sell your business, there's more value in your business if you've got that contract business and if you've got that rather than that perm business as well. So if anybody here is thinking of selling, that's another big factor as well.
One thing to mention on that, actually, we do this thing for this particular contract client where initially we thought they were only going to be contract 6 months temp to perm, whereby we dilute the margin over the 6-month period and then they join permanently for nothing, but obviously at the end of it, but obviously we've got the margin over the 6 months. But on the back of the work that we've been doing on that, they've actually given us quite a few perm roles, managerial perm roles as well. So you kind of went the other way almost with that one.
Awesome. Just taking a quick look at delivery. Obviously before you mentioned you were doing contingent. You're having clients cancelling or not. You're not filling vacancies. I guess what's the difference now with the exclusive work you're bringing on? I guess how has that impacted the delivery side of the business?
Well, I think it just enables us to obviously focus more on it, and we've got better relationships with the clients now. I think they treat us on a more consultative basis rather than just some sort of throwaway recruiter, and and that sort of goes back to the respect thing. And yeah, I mean, we were totally new to pitch and retained and exclusive, really. We had some exclusive agreements, but that was just as a matter of, I suppose, circumstance where we'd worked with clients for such a long time. But these were exclusive agreements at like 10% or 12%, not really the type of business that you'd want. So yeah, it's good. A lot of the work that we do now as well, clients come to us for like benchmarking and things like that, and you know, it's asking us for our advice. And again, it's like that consultative service rather than just somebody who's going to fill you a job and you'll never hear from them again, kind of thing.
Awesome. Brilliant. So I want to go back to something you said earlier. You mentioned that, you know, before you joined the program, not only obviously with the business having an impact, but it's affecting your personal life, mental health, your family as well. So I want to quickly look at that. I guess what's the impact now? I guess how have your family noticed a difference with you getting better results in your business? Does that have an impact on you personally and your personal life? How's it impacted there?
Yeah, I mean, like without going into loads of detail, it's pretty stressful, my house. It's we got 3 young kids and my eldest son's autistic, and like we you know, finish work and it's like starting work again, but it's a bit more stressful perhaps. But you know, I found that I'll be up in the night thinking about work. I'd wasn't exercising as much as I'd like to do. I was probably a little less patient with both my wife and the kids. I'd be all consumed. There've been times where I've been totally all consumed by work and be sat at the dinner table and everything. And, you know, these are the times that you should be cherishing, right? As a parent, you know, when your kids are just like, I think my eldest is 12. I've got a 4-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy. And we sat around the table and I'd be just non-present. You know, I'd be there, but I'd be thinking about how we're going to get ourselves out of this hole. Where's the next fee coming from? These kind of things. And like now, I trust in the process, and I know that within the team, we don't always have. I mean, July wasn't a particularly good month, but you know, I know that within the team we've got it in us now to you know to take control, I suppose, of our own destiny. And I think I got, you know, around in January I started doing a bit more exercise, picked it up again. But a couple of books I'd written down that Terry encouraged me to read was like the Brian Tracy one, The New Psychology of Achievement, which I did straight away when I joined the program. And I just thought that was just like, it's talking about incremental changes of 1% per day, like, you know, things like that. And then obviously that compound, like they call it compound interest, don't they, where it, you know, sort of accumulates to being many times better. So I found that really insightful. And also I read and listened to the 12-week year. So not only has it had it's had a big impact on my mental health, and I feel as though I'm coping a lot better. I'm doing more exercise, more positive around the family. I'm reading more, sort of educating myself, reading more educational stuff as well as the sort of typical stuff that I would read, which would be like historical fictions and stuff like that. But just really just in a better place, to be honest, Drew.
Yeah, excellent. I want to ask you 2 questions. Just type yes in the box if you can relate to what James said about not being present. So you be at the dining table, sitting in the park with the family, wherever, and what's going through your mind is other stuff that you got stuff to do with the business, and you know, whether your partner or your family are chatting away, and you're not there. I'll be blunt here. How shit is that? Really? Is that what your family signed up for? And I'm not criticizing, by the way, because we've all done it, and you know, life's too short. Yes, but really appreciate it. I would love to get some thoughts on some stuff that James said. So, Mario, I'm going to come to you first of all. Mario, I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback, and then I'm going to come to you, James. This is the other James Smith, for your thoughts as well. Mario, just love to get your thoughts first of all, buddy.
If I didn't know better, James, I would say that we're living in a parallel universe, but in the same universe.
Yeah.
Because everything that you've just described what has been going on for me. Oh my goodness, mate. Can relate to so much of it as well. Yeah, clients have broken my heart and almost broken my spirit, James. Yeah. Where, you know, I just did not want to do recruitment anymore because people were horrible. You're putting all this effort in and you're actually good at what you do. You put all this effort in, right? And you do it time and time and time. And it's like, they won't pick up they ghost you. And the next time you phone that you say, look, you know, I'm be honest with you, wasn't completely motivated by the last time that we dealt with one of your requirements. You know, a lot of my guys did a lot of work, and you know, we got no feedback, and they don't really want to work your stuff anymore, to be honest with you. And you know, we're trying to understand, you know, are you really hiring or not? You have all these really deep conversations. They're like, no. And they do it again and again and again. You're like, what? And you're in this bubble, and just for me, I did not know what to do. Listen, I'll be honest with you, I spent money on other systems, and you didn't even get to speak to the owner, you know, the brains of the outfit. You know, it's just all automated and everything, you know, and you kind of, yeah, here it is, there's a manual, you left your own devices. What I love about this, about the Apex, is that it is hands-on from the boys and the guys with the experience, and they bring other experience in the room of people that have experienced or not gone through what you're going through, to help you to grow and put in a process and to move out of it. And it's a lot more than just a process. For me, I would say it's not, you know, God, when you're that in that place where you're just like, you just don't know what else to do, and you keep banging your head against the brick wall, you're banging, you think, I just don't know what to do. Yeah,
go on a call.
Apex, I've got to say, it's more than just the solution and the school. It's the support that you get from the network that these guys have created, and the experience that they have and they share with you, and the encouragement that you get, and the support and the reminder. It's just so many things that you neglect in your life. You're going along, you know, oh, if I do this, but what happens? You get lazy, you get a little bit entitled, you think, oh, you know, I don't know, should be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that. And you get pulled from pillar to post. You're doing this, and you're taking an email, and then you're writing this, and you're doing that. You're having a call with that, and it's like, oh, where does it stop? And the merry-go-round just go around, round and round and round. Oh boy, honestly, I'm glad I'm off of it. Terry, Drew, oh my word, boys, I owe you my life.
Cheers, buddy. And a pint of beer. And you let me speak to your dad. Your dad swore at me, but do you know what?
That's because my dad took you in straight away, Terry. He heard you speaking and he warmed to you immediately. And listen, with my dad, like me, you get what you see is what you get.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
There are no pretenses, mate. There's nothing around that isn't around. Yeah. But
really appreciate that feedback, Mario. Thanks a lot.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And James, loved honestly listening to it. It's like therapy. It's almost like therapy. You're like, I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
Well, that's right. Like, you know, if you're having a bad week, I'd encourage anyone to jump on one of the calls. Like, you know, you might think, oh, I haven't got time to go on the 3 p.m. call today. But like for me, I always come off it thinking, yeah, like you just said, I'm not alone. Like, and there's, if you've got a question, you can ask, you know, the people on the call, can't you? And it's great.
Excellent. Thanks for that, guys. I'm going to come to James. James, love to get your not at all, Mario. Thanks, that buddy. James, love to get your thoughts, feedback, and what you've heard so far.
Yeah, I mean, resonates massively. I think we've all been in that situation. I've always called my business my baby, you know, because you think about it all the time. You worry if it's, you know, if it's going well, if it's not going well, if it's, you know, every aspect, every moment of every day. You know, it's my oldest child in that respect. So naturally, if things aren't going swimmingly, or even if they are going swimmingly, you're going to be distracted. You're not going to pay enough time to, or pay as much attention as you could, and be present with your family, with your wife, with your kids. There's always going to be that distraction, and massively resonates. Joined the program not long after you, and yeah, it's great, you know, like you say, to have the network to be able to share it, to you know, almost like group therapy in a respect, but also as a reminder of the basics of what you can do, and being challenged to you know, go out of your comfort zone. It's up to you to whether or not to do it, but we know what to do, and just having it so clear and present in front of you is super helpful to say, actually, yeah, do you want it or not? It's very simple, and you know, the process works. Believe in it. You know, sometimes it might take a little bit longer than you think, but you know, it will work.
Thanks, James. Thanks for that.
So
Drew?
just going back to you, JB. I wanted to. Everyone always comes to us for the marketing, for the sales. You know, that's what people buy, why they buy from us. But I think when people join the program, they realize that it's more about the mindset. That's where we have the biggest impact.
Yeah.
From your point of view, I mean, I think you mentioned mindset a few times, but from your point of view, I guess what have been the biggest mindset shifts that you've had to go through to get to where you are now?
So I think the sort of going through, like, I'd quite often, if I think I talked about this before, but I build things up too much, and I still do it, and we're still going through the process. By no means, I almost felt like a fraud coming onto this, doing this, because we're nowhere near being where we want to be, but sort of realizing that rejection doesn't mean that you should give up, right? So if you email somebody and they tell you not interested in speaking to you, dirty recruiter, or whatever they say, like the most hostile response you can get, it doesn't mean that the next person's going to do that, like, and I think just the consistency, the positivity, the like Terry said earlier, like, if you don't ask a question, you're never going to know, are you? So like we're asking questions that we would never have asked in the past, and we know that we're good at what we do, and yeah, obviously we could get better, but we I think just believing in ourselves, and obviously like having the non-negotiable things on a morning. You don't wake up every day and spring out of bed and go for a 10k run and then like eager to get on your emails. Nobody does. Oh, very few people
Well, I do,
but,
James. If you
yeah,
just
of
let you
course
know,
you do, but yeah. But like obviously you're gonna have good days and bad, and I think as long as you do what you need to do and follow the process, I think you'll get the results eventually. And as I said just then, we're still not where we'd like to be. We're not. There's so much room for improvement, and we're still very much a work in progress. But the difference about where we are now as to where we were in February before we joined is massive, like huge, and it's like those incremental changes, and we don't do everything that's suggested in the Apex school, but the stuff that we have done and that's worked, it's like a trial and error process, like is bringing in a consistent stream of lead. Like no doubt whilst I've been on the call, people on LinkedIn will have replied and said, sure, what is it you want to ask? Or it's night and day from where we were.
Excellent. Thanks for that, James. And again, you've said something there that I'd like to remind you. You said, we know that we do a good job. And it's always worth reminding yourself that when you're reaching out to a client and a candidate, very rarely, if ever, as a recruiter, do you find a candidate a new job where they're going to earn less and work longer hours. It's very rare. Very rarely do you put a bad candidate into an organization, it doesn't work out. 90% of the time you're putting a candidate into a role that's going to enhance the future of that particular business and also enhance that particular candidate and the impact it's going to have on that family. And it's sometimes worth stopping and remembering the good that you're doing as a recruiter rather than beat yourself up. I think it was a really valid point there. You all do a good job and you need to remember that sometimes. I'm just curious, you said there, James, from your point of view, what impact has what you've gone through had on your confidence and your belief in yourself?
Oh, it's been massive. I think it's just, I'm just, I can't really put it into words, to be honest. Like the where I was, and this was like a repeating pattern where it gets to sort of the winter months, and they say in the bleak midwinter, don't they? And like the winter's always been bleak, and like this year I'm looking forward to Christmas, Terry. If that makes sense. Like I'm not worried that I'm going to be in some sort of financial, predicament where I'm again all consumed and stuff, and like my confidence speaking to people. Sometimes, as I told you and Drew, that I was a little bit nervous doing this, but obviously you get going 2 minutes into a call or 2 minutes on here, you're fine, aren't you? And you're away, and yeah, I still get the little butterflies before I speak to people and before a triage call and stuff. But it's like going back to when you're selling a job to a candidate. and if you've worked with a client for a long time, you can become almost robotic, and like, you know, you sort of say things without even thinking about it. And like now, I feel as though I can react on BD calls and on Zoom meetings and stuff. And another thing related to confidence is that we have actually turned around to customers and said, that's not going to work for us. We can't do that, you know. And we've never walked away from business before. We've always tried to make some kind of deal. And like now, if it's not right, we don't do it.
Awesome. That's music to my ears. The moment you're starting to walk away from business, you're making a decision that you're going to decide who you work with, when you're going to work with them, and how much they're going to pay you. Yeah. And that's the way it's got to be. That's music to my ears. That is, James, that you're working away from business. I've got to say a massive thank you. Just to wrap up. Just before I do wrap up, if anybody's got any questions, just
yeah.
put yes
Sorry,
in the box.
I've got one more question.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. Yeah, and I'll let you wrap up then, buddy.
If you could sort of go back to you, you know, someone was in your position like February, March this year, right? What piece of advice would you give them if they listen to this now and they're having the same challenges you were having, in the same, you know, mental state, business wise? What advice would you give them?
Just to be open-minded, and I guess invest in the program. And if you're going to sign up for something and spend your good hard-earned money on it, you've got to give it a go. You can't just send out one batch of emails and 1,000 emails, and if you don't get any positive responses, give up there, because there are so many ways to skin a cat, as they say. And like on the program, it teaches you not just the email reactivation, not just LinkedIn, but so much more. Join the calls as well, because as James said, you know, it's like it is almost like group therapy in a way, because you hopefully people have, you know, what I've said today has resonated with a lot of people on the call. And you know that it's not all positivity. I call it a roller coaster in recruitment, and you know, you have your peaks and your troughs, and sometimes the troughs can seem deeper than how high the peaks are. But you know, like pretty much guaranteed that everybody who goes on the calls, you know, has experienced something similar, and there's just such a wealth of knowledge within the community that, you know, I feel as though if you invest yourself into it and find out what works for you, and you know what doesn't work, and share your feedback and thoughts and everything with the team, then I think you're definitely going to see an improvement in your business.
Excellent.
Brilliant, James. Thanks a lot. Again, you can see in the chat, like, I think people have found it really useful. Again, it's been amazing hearing sort of the journey from where you were 6 months ago to where you are now. I think it's brilliant, and I look forward to what the next 6 months is going to bring, because I think you want to, you know, you really just get started. Although you've had some really great wins so far, I think you're just at the beginning of your journey.
That's right.
So I'm looking forward to that as well. Terry, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, just a massive thank you, James. Really appreciate you sharing and your honesty and frankness. I really do appreciate that.
Thanks to everyone for listening, because I know that you know, obviously I've done a lot of the talking here, but I look forward to hearing from the next person on this call, and I can sit back in silence and take notes. But yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you, and just massive thank you to Ola as well for wearing his cap for you today.
It's flat. I haven't.
He's got his flat cap on just for you, buddy.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks. That's amazing. I know he said it on the chat, but I didn't know that he'd actually got one on.
So happy Yorkshire Day, everybody. Have a great Yorkshire Day.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care, folks. See you. Bye.